Today, we're going to be looking at how to quickly add new things to our calendar, such as tasks and events using Shortcut. Okay, so here we are at the Apple Store, and first things first, we want to take a look at shortcuts. So if you don't have it already, this is Shortcut. You want to make sure you get this. We need this in order to pull this off. The second one we're going to use is Fantastical. Now, the reason why I'm using Fantastical is because it allows me to use natural language. So if you already have an app of your choice that does that, by all means, you can use that one. If I'm not mistaken, Fantastical is free. They do have a paid version, but you are allowed to use it for free. I don't know what the limitation is on the free one because honestly, I just use the paid one. But those are the only two apps you need to follow along. How's it going? Will here. And on this channel, I teach you how to leverage automation and technology to boost your productivity and make creating content effortless. Let's talk automation. All right, so the very first thing we need to do in order to build out this shortcut is open up Fantastical, and you just want to remember the name of your calendar. So in this case, I'm working with demo calendar, so I'm gonna put everything on this demo calendar. That way I don't have to worry about blurring things out and stuff like that. So everything we're gonna do is going to be on demo calendar. All right, so now that I know the name of this calendar, what I want to do is actually I could double confirm that is. I can click on manage calendars, and what I can do is I can come over here and I can see it says demo calendar. Now all of these calendars right here are names of specific calendars I use. So you can see my calendars are set up as far as rows and things like that, because honestly that works out better for me. But that's not the topic of this video. I'm getting off topic, but these are all my different calendars right here, and this is the one that I want right here, which is demo calendar. All right, so I want to memorize that specific name. So now I'm going to leave up out of here. I'm going to come over to shortcuts. I'm going to click enter, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says shared shortcuts, which is right here. And I'm going to actually, now this is my day view. If you didn't watch that video, I'll link it up below because this ties in perfectly to my day view. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to click on plus, and I'm going to say rename. I'm going to say add event, and I'm going to say shared because I'm pretty sure I already have one for myself called add event. And at that point, I'm going to say enter. I'm going to click on the icon. I'm going to make it orange, and I'm going to see if I don't have a calendar. And we do. So I'm going to just pick the plus sign because that's what we're going to be using this for, add events to our calendar. All right, first things first, we want to add in a comment. All right, so in order to do that, we're just going to type in comment. We're going to put that over here, and we're going to add in, we can call this add event. We can say 1.0, and then I'm going to add a cheat sheet into it. So basically what you're looking at is this is the URL. So when you open up this, if you get stuck or you need some help with this right here, you can use this link and it'll explain to you how Fantastical natural language works. But you can see basically we can use with at the / event and task, and though, well, not event, but where you see the asterisk at. So that would be with at / task and quotations. This right here are how we use natural language inside of Fantastical. Now, because I understand that you might not want to go through all this and memorize all this, we're going to set this shortcut up in a way that the shortcut itself does the heavy lifting for us. But if you ever get sophisticated to where you just want to use natural language and you're pretty good with the parser, then you can remove all of this and you could just have one simple one. But because I'm not there, and honestly, I want to make sure I do it right, and don't really want to have to think about it, I'm going to set it up the way I would want to set it up if I was just new to it and just getting started with using a parser inside of Fantastical. If you're more advanced, then by all means, some of this stuff you can modify this shortcut however you see fit. All right, let's dig in. All right, so first things first, we want to capture stuff inside of Fantastical. So I'm going to just put a quick note of what this shortcut is about. All right, so I put this shortcut allows me to quickly add tasks and events to my calendar. So first things first, what we're going to want to do is we're going to ask for input. Now we're going to use ask for input a lot. So in this case, because we're using ask for input so much, well, before we ask for input, we first need a list. And you're going to see why we need a list in a second. So we're going to say list. And what we want to do is get item from list. So we're going to do list right here. And then after that, we want to do a choose from list, which is right here. And we're going to drop that down right there. Now, because in the beginning we only have one calendar, I'm going to just do it for one because the only one I have is demo calendar. And honestly, I recommend for this part, you jump back over here, you click on the eye, and you simply copy whatever this is because you want to make sure this is right. In this specific case, it's not case sensitive, so that doesn't matter. But for me, I just like to copy and paste. I learned the hard way that saves me a lot of problems. I'm going to just remove this one, but as you create more calendars, you would come in and just add the plus sign. That's all you got to do. Now that we have this, the next thing we want to do is we want to ask for input. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using these up here to make, I'm going to use these ask for inputs to make this easier. All right. So first things first, this is going to say, what's your task? So I could say, what's your task or event? All right. And we're going to set a variable and we're going to call this variable to do, just keeping it simple. Right. And now what we want to do is we could actually duplicate this, which would probably make our lives a lot easier. But as you can see, if we try to duplicate it, it's not going to duplicate this with it. So that's not going to work for us. So what we're going to do is we can come over to favorites and you can see ask for input is at the top, set variable is at the top because these are two actions I use all the time. If you're new to shortcuts, all you have to do is go over to, let's see, ask for input again. Click right here on the eye, and right here you should be able to click on favorite. Then you can come and do the same thing for set variable. Click on the eye, and then you'll be able to click on there and it'll add it to favorite. Then moving forward, you can just click on favorites and you could just live right here while we build this out, since most of the stuff we're going to be using is ask for input and set variable. All right, so we're going to grab another ask for input. We're going to grab another set variable. And the next thing we want to do after we've done that is we want to set the date. So I'm going to just say, what's the date? Question mark. And for this, I'm going to set that variable as date. So we have the to do, we have the date. What else will we need? The next thing we would need is the location. So I'm going to actually step back right quick. I'm going to type in something that says nothing. I'm going to click the I and I'm going to click add. This is going to allow me to have some room down here. I'm going to actually move this keyboard by holding it with my finger. You can hold it and drag it to the side when it want to work to get it out the way. And now what I want to do is come back over to my favorites and I'm going to say ask for input again. I'm going to pull this up one. I'm going to grab this set variable. I'm going to drop it right there. I'm going to double click into it so I can type, and I'm going to just say, what's the location? Question mark. And the variable can be location. I'm going to say enter, and let's see here. What else do we need? All right. So I'm going to pull down one more. All right. It's a little funny when your shortcuts start going down a page. It's a little bit harder to drop it where you want to drop it, but you play with it a little bit. And when you see the green plus, you can let it go. This is going to be time. We can call this reminder, and this is going to be alert because we're going to use it to set the time of the alert we want. So right now, these are the main ones I use, which is the event itself, the date it is on, the location it's at, and I set some type of reminder or notification to remind me that it's coming up. Those are the main four that I use. Now what I want to do is I want to come over here. Let's see, do I have a text box? I do. I'm going to put a text right there. And to get a text box, all you have to do is come over here and just type in text. It'll pop up right up under documentation. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to start filling out this stuff, but I want to fill it out using my cheat sheet. So the first thing first, in order to make sure that it knows that this is a string, meaning, well, string is kind of program retype, but basically a string is like a sentence. All of it mean words. So you're basically telling the parser that, hey, this is my task. This has nothing to do with anything I want you to pull out for the date, time, location, or anything like that. This is what I want my official label or title to be of my event or task. So we wrap that in quotation marks. All right. So let me show you how we're going to do that. All right. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to put quotation marks. Then after that, I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to double tick this variable. I'm I'm gonna delete one, and then we're gonna move on to the next one. So now we're on our date. So for the date, if we want it to know that we're talking about a date, then it says, now we could do with, and with just lets us know who we're with. So for example, if you had, let's say, if you had a calendar event with you and maybe your partner or, you know, your coworker or something like that, and you want to add them to it, then you can use with and then followed by that person's name, and it will add them as an attendee on that specific task. So you can do that. I honestly don't use with, but it is possible if you want to do it. Okay, so now that we have the to-do, for the next one we're going to do is date. Now with date, the only thing we have to remember with date is we will start it off by saying today, tomorrow, next Saturday, next week, or we give the exact date, meaning, you know, July 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So we're just using a date. So there is no specific keyword we can use to let it know it's the date, because it's automatically going to know it's the date when we use things like today, tomorrow, next week, next Saturday, next Wednesday, whatever the case may be, or this Wednesday or whatever. All right. So that's how we use date. So that's really easy. We don't have to use any special characters for that. All right, so we're gonna make sure we got a space in between. The next one we're gonna do is we're gonna click on space, and we're going to say location. So for location, our keyword is at. And if you look up here at your cheat sheet, you can see right here, the keyword for here is going to be at, and it tells the location. So the fact that we put at right here, anything followed behind it is going to be the location. Then we just click on our variable to put it in there. The next thing we're looking at after location is we're looking at our text reminder, which is an alert. So here we're going to type in alert, and then after we put in alert, we're going to put in, actually for this one, I think it would be better if I do this one here, because you can say 30 minutes if I can spell. All right, so with this one, we can leave this one right here blank. So when you get to this one, it's going to automatically put this in for you. And if you want to leave that, you can just say okay. But if you want to change it, you can. Then after that, we're going to say click on alert. We're going to take one of them off. And now we're done. The last thing we have to do to this is we have to tell it what calendar. Well, we want this calendar. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to do space bar. We have to put a /, remember, and it's going to be followed by the name. No space. When you don't space it and put the /. Once you put the /, then you just put the name, which is, in this case, a choose item, because we don't know what item we're going to choose. In this case, we only have one, which is demo calendar. So now the last thing we need to do is we want to come over here to Fantastical. We're going to click on Fantastical. And what we want to do is we want to create from input. This is the one we want. And if we click on it, you can see it says it's create a new event or task from a given input. That's exactly what we want to do. So we can add it, and we're just going to pull it up. And then after that, we're going to drop down. And here's what we can do. We want to turn off show and run. We definitely don't want that. And right here, this is a text box. This is our variable right here. But if yours is a little bit more complicated and you don't see it, you can click on magic variable like I did. Scroll down to what you want to output. Click right there, and then you got it. With notes, I always like to put X each time, because I like to put in reminder notes for certain things. Just on that day, I kind of try to help out my future self. So that's what I do. I always add a note to my tasks. All right. So really quickly, I want to drop these down just to make sure there's no show and run on. This right here, you want to leave this on for multiple lines, because if not, if you have a really long task, it's not going to go. So you want to make sure that you leave this on. Or if you don't need it and you know you don't need it, then by all means, you can turn it off. It's completely up to you. Now that we have this set up, let's test it out. Before we test out this shortcut, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up so that way I'll know you dig these type of videos. I'm going to click play, and it's asking me which calendar. We're just going to say demo calendar because that's the only one we got. It says, what's your event? What's your task or event? I'm going to say record shortcut tutorial. Now, because remember we got this in quotations, this is considered a string, and this will be exactly what we see inside of our calendar event, which is awesome. So we're gonna say done. It says what date? We're gonna say today. We're going to say, let's say 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. since it's already pretty late. So today, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. It says what's the location? We could just say home. Now, if I wanted to put in an address, I could. So I'm gonna say done. This right here is my reminder. So if I want to change this out instead of 30 minutes or an hour, if I want days or something like that, I could do that. But I like this, so I'm gonna say done. Well, in this case, I'm gonna change this out to 15 minutes because 1 hour wouldn't make sense because we so close to that time. Then after that, I'm gonna say done. And then it says notes. I'm gonna say this should have worked. And now I'm gonna say done. Now, if we go back over to Fantastical, pull it up, we're gonna close up out of that. And you can see right now on our calendar right here, we can see where it says shortcut tutorial. And you can see right here, record shortcut tutorial, Tuesday, May 7th, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. You can see it says, what's the location? Home. You can see it says this should have worked. You can see my alert is 15 minutes before. And you can see it went to demo calendar. Now, when it comes to changing the colors and stuff like that, I honestly don't think they have a code for us to be able to parse that out when we're doing it in shortcuts. I'll double check it, but honestly, I don't use that because I set my colors up already when I create the calendar and I want it to take on that specific color. So I've never ever used that. All right. So now we can jump back over to shortcuts now that we know it works. And now, honestly, that's how easy it is to make this shortcut. I'm gonna have this at the top for you. So if you want to come over here and check out this link, then I'll show you where that link is gonna take you. All right, and this is where it's gonna take you right here. So you can see natural language recommendations. This is where I pulled all that information from. You can see how it worked right here. And this is how I was able to figure out how to be able to use natural language to quickly get things into Fantastical. They also got other things you can push down right here. And if you have something else you want to do, it's more than likely it's right up in the documentation somewhere. I'm up under adding events and tasks because that's the main thing I wanted to use it for. Now that you know how to create and set up your own shortcut that allows you to quickly add events and tasks into your Fantastical, and if you want to create a task, all you have to do is use tasks. So for example, if we come back over here really quickly and we create, let's say with task, you would start it off as a task. So for example, if you wanted to, you could set this up to have it say, are you using a task or not? So let's see here, for right here, instead of it having to do in quotations, you can have it say, you can have another choose from menu. So let's do that really quickly just so I can show you how it would look. All right, so to pull this off, we're gonna use a choose from menu. I think that's the best way to do it. So you're gonna say, are you creating a task or event? Question mark. Now, what we want to do is if you're creating a task, we want to put all of this up under events. So let's just grab all of this, put it up under event. And all I'm doing is dropping and dragging, being sure that I keep everything together. All right, so now this is the event. The next one is going to be a task. So now what I can do is I can come down here and I can change it up. So for this one, I'm assuming that if you're doing a task, you don't want it, you probably don't want it like this complex. Okay, so now that we have that set up, next thing we want to do is we want to go over to Fantastical. This part is going to be really, really simple. We're going to say create from input. We're going to drop it in right there. We're going to come down here and we're going to say ask for input. So ask each time, and we're going to say click right here and we're going to say ask each time. That's all we have to do for a task. Now we do have to add in the word task or to do or something like that, but that's about it. So let me show you. So we're going to click on play. We're going to say task. We're going to say task space. If we want to give it more weight, the more exclamation points we give it, the higher priority it is. I don't use that type of stuff, so I'm just going to keep mine as a task. I'm going to say sit out the trash cans. I'll say sit out the trash next Monday at 4 p.m. and I'm gonna say done. Notice I did not pick a calendar. I'm gonna say done. I'm gonna say double check bags in the house. I'm gonna say done. All right, so you can see it output what it put. So I'm gonna say done. Now I wanna go down and where it says show and run, I'm gonna turn that off. And then we're gonna click play just to say event, demo calendar. I'm gonna just say double check the to-do because I just wanna show you that everything works fine. We can say next Monday at, I think 4 p.m. is what we said. I'm gonna say done. Location is going to be home, and I'm lazy, so we're gonna say 30 minutes and 1 hour. Double check the task work, and I'm gonna say done. So now we have this set up. Okay, so here we are back at our calendar, and you can see that it worked just fine. It put that task in for me. Now, you might be wondering, okay, here's the task. Where's the task? It's not popping up. Well, the reality is it is popping up, but it's actually popping up on it's popping up on whatever your default calendar is. So let me show you. All right, so I closed out of my calendar on the side just so you can see. And you can see right here, now I'm at my inbox, and you can see I have one task up in here. Now, you can easily change this up and set it to wherever you want, but as you can see, it says May 13th at 4 p.m., which I'm assuming May 13th will be this coming Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Set out trash. If we click into it, we can see where we also got our double check the bags. Now, personally, I wouldn't use the calendars to set up events and things like to set up tasks. I would only use my calendar for events, but it's really just that easy to do it now. Like I said, honestly, I wouldn't personally use my calendar for task management because I have a task manager app which is OmniFocus. So I put all my tasks in there, and then when I'm ready to do those tasks is when I move it over to OmniFocus. That's how my process works. It worked better for me that way. So I wouldn't use the shortcut the way I just set it up for you, but if that's what you like, you can always do it. If you don't like that way, you can always get rid of the choose from menu, and you can always get rid of the task. But if you need it, you got it. Now, the next video that you might be interested in watching is your day view. It allows you to focus on just the things you got to get done today, and that's a pretty powerful shortcut in itself. You can watch this video right here, and I'll show you how to create it step by step. Till next time, later.